Disciples League. Disciples. Disciples. Carry your crosses, taking your losses, gaining your crowns, losing no ground. Disciples League. Jesus, not just neck pieces, shining. We grind it, walking this thing out. Stairmasters, going up, levels up. We digging in shovels. What? Disciples, disciples. Light 'em up. Disciples. Light 'em up. Disciples.
We failed them. Yes, we failed the next two generations. Because a good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children. An inheritance, money, wealth, resource, access, sustainability. We're going to unpack this in episode 23, and we're going to walk through how did we get here. We just didn't get up one day and look at the news and the Supreme Court passed legislation and nobody knew what was going on. Nobody was watching. No, people were busy at the gala and there was no watchman on the wall warning what was happening. So let's go back to when the legislation, because voting gets you policy, gets you legislation. We had the Civil Rights Act in 64, the Voting Rights Act in 65, fair housing in 68. These things produce the single fastest period of racial wealth convergence in U.S. history. Policy, voting, the things that we fought for, our grandparents fought for, our parents fought for, now it is all in peril. And so we can look and see even the wealth wage gap, the wealth gap closed from 8 to 5 from 1960 to 1980. We thought we was going to win. It was going to be equal. We was going to catch up. But then we got lackadaisical. We started getting caught up in everything. We left God. We left Elohim. We start partaking in everything, doing everything. And now we're facing this crisis. So let's look at the numbers. Why did the progress stop? Why did the progress stop? Why did the wealth gap stop? What happened? We had $156 billion from undervalued black homes. The equity was lost. All the different policies and the different redistricting and maps and redlining, all these different things that happened caused the wealth gap to go down to where it went down to where 15 cents for every dollar, black to white. Look at the chart up there. Home ownership gap has not moved since 1970. It's been 44, 44, 47, 46. We haven't progressed, but we look like we progress on social media. If you look at people's social media, we winning, we Wakanda. But the truth is, we were steadily in decline and didn't even realize it. Didn't even realize it. And now everybody's up in arms because of the latest Supreme Court ruling, but it didn't happen overnight. This has been going on since Dr. King was assassinated. They have been making chess moves. They gutted everything under the first black president. They started gutting everything when SCOTUS struck down Section 4 of the Voting Rights Act and declared pre-clearance was dead. This was the wave that they needed to be able to go make massive changes, which impacted public pay. It concentrated in counties with the largest black populations was targeted. It had massive economic fallout. In Texas, within 24 hours, they start implementing voter IDs, and more states followed immediately. These were the chess moves that were happening while we were at the galas celebrating that we made it. They were making dramatic chess moves even under the first black president. They started making these moves, and our elders weren't paying attention. And if they were silent about it. And now everybody's up in arms. They want the young people to fight the battles. They want college football players not to get paid, not to get NIL, to go on protests and march and do what they didn't do. Deny themselves and their opportunities because the elders failed them. We owe them an apology. We owe our children's children. How we going to create generational wealth and be a good man that leaves an inheritance when we have lost the inheritance? We lost the inheritance that we got coming out of the 60s. We lost it. The wealth indicators. Look at it. The median household income, white versus black, is 83,000 to 54,000. Median net wealth, 285,000 to 45,000. Home ownership rate, 73% to 46%. Black households with zero or negative wealth, 28%. Wakanda is a movie. The data and the statistics show otherwise. The wealth indicators, the numbers don't lie. And now this is going to be compounded because when you don't have representation and when the maps get redrawn and you don't have people that can represent you and your interests, you will have less input and say on policy. But also the caveat is y'all been voting for people that look like you that don't do nothing for you. You keep voting for the same people who do nothing, and your areas and communities don't improve. They go backwards. That's problematic. We got to have accountability in the people we vote for when we vote. And so when we look at this from the final blow, when they struck down in Louisiana the second majority black congressional district as an unconstitutional racial gerrymander, this impacted everything. Now states can use partisan gerrymandering as a cover for racial vote dilution. Section 2 is inoperable now. So what's at stake? Political power, black representation in Congress directly drives economic policy. Yes, we have to vote. Yes, we have to have representation. But if the people that you vote for don't do nothing for you, don't return calls, don't show up for you until it's time to get reelected, they show up, then they go back into their private enclaves and do galas and get on magazine covers and all this other kind of stuff. When we're not focused on the least of these and representing our communities properly, because people have entrusted us by voting for us, we got the voting rights, and now we got people, not everybody, but a lot of people are not taking their position as serious enough to know they are standing on the shoulders of greatness, of sacrifice, and they owe the people that voted them in to push this and carry this and pass the baton to the next generation. Unfortunately, we have left very little for our children's children. So how could we be considered a good man who leaves an inheritance to our children's children when we have lost all the inheritance, most of it, by our inactivity, and we have got off the grind that we needed to continue to be on in order to make sure our children's children are taken care of.
Tell me about it. Disciples leave. They keep saying, who your God is. Tell me about it. This gospel is costly. Tell me about it. New life, sins cleansed, is costly. Tell me about it.